You can see here this is available in several languages, although ironically not French at the moment. We don't have many French students in our school, but we do have English, Dutch, German and Spanish. And this is just one example of something I use a great deal, which are simulations, computer simulations, whereby you take the role of a key character in history, in this case Kaiser Wilhelm. You pop your name in to start with. And the idea, oops, sorry, just get my proper name there. The idea of this one is that you are going to try to take a series of decisions based on historical reality, and then you're told what the Kaiser actually did. And from that, you can start to form a judgment about whether he acted well, badly, or whether he simply made the best decisions possible in difficult circumstances. But at the end of the simulation, the students will end up with a rating of Wilhelm, which might be high or low, and then a factual test score as well. So as they are progressing through the game, they are being asked factual questions based on the information they're presented with on the screen. So on that particular one, which is incorrect, a series of options. Just looking at what they are myself now. That one, I guess. Is it that one? That's the incorrect answer. That shows how good I am. Just randomly click a few here for a minute until we've got the right one. Ah, the very last one. There we go. Anyway, go through. And at each particular point, you're given a situation here. The Kaiser's just come to the throne, and we have to decide whether we're going to lean towards supporting the Austrians or supporting the Russians in future years as those two countries start to drift apart. So we can either support the Austrians because they have a more modern army, they speak German, or we support the Russians because they've got a great empire and the Tsar is your cousin. Now, of course, these aren't straightforwardly correct or incorrect answers, one clearly good, one clearly bad. But what these simulations do, rather than just presenting students with a fait accompli, this is what the Kaiser did, what do you think of it, they have to think of the alternatives first and justify those. Now, my students play these, each one of them plays the game on their own computer, and we can compare scores at the end. But I know a lot of schools use this particular activity, which is freely available, just at one screen on the front of the classroom on a whiteboard. And the teacher basically gets the students to discuss the options in small groups or in pairs, takes a vote on what the class overall thinks is the best decision after discussion, and they've taken a few notes, and then they make an observation on what actually happened and what they think of that. So on this particular one is we're trying to attract Britain into an alliance. What could we promise Britain? Maybe we're going to offer to limit our naval expansion, promise that Britain won't have to join the Triple Alliance, both A and B, neither of the above. Well, I'm going to promise to limit to German naval expansion, and then it tells you what really did happen, of course, which is the most important thing. But there's a variety of these simulations on the website. This one here, which is the second and final one that I'll show you for the moment, is a simulation about Imperial Russia on the eve of World War I. So in this one, you take the role of Sergei Prokudkin-Gorsky, who was a pioneering colour photographer in Russia, and you need to try and get to your girlfriend who's threatening to end your relationship because you're too busy with your photographs all the time. So you're going to get to Vladivostok. This one's slightly different. There is a worksheet to accompany it, and I'll just open the worksheet so you get an idea of how detailed these things can be. So that's just opening up. And the students are completing this worksheet as they progress through the simulation if they're playing it one-on-one. So you can see there's lots of different things there about national minorities, political opposition, key individuals, and so on. Just go back to the actual application. There we are. And this one is a bit different to the World War I simulation, because instead of simply progressing chronologically from the 1870s onwards to the outbreak of war, what we've got instead is a geographically based game where you journey around Imperial Russia, get an idea of its different climates, its different nationalities. You go north, south, east, west, as you can see here. And to succeed in the game, you have to trade objects, talk to various people. If you're familiar with like the choose your own adventure format of books that I was when I was a teenager in the 80s, these were really good fun. It's on that same principle, basically. Again, that one is freely available on the website. There's a Google Earth tour to accompany it, which is quite nice, a bit of a flyover of Imperial Russia, and so on. So there's lots of things there. So those are just a couple of ideas of how you could use interactive simulations in the classroom. And as I say, you don't need to have the entire class linked in to the game. You could just have a teacher at the front directing that and asking questions of the audience, and they can have some quite lively discussions on the best way to proceed at each stage.